Hey guys, I hope you're having a good night. Um, well, if you haven't been here before, welcome to Stories Under the Moonlight, where I talk about stories, books, all types of things under the moonlight. So, welcome. My name is Sydney. I realized that I did not introduce myself in the last two videos if you watched them. So I apologize. Rude of me. Um, that won't happen again. So my name is Sydney and welcome to Stories Under the Moonlight. So tonight we'll be going over The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I've been talking about this book forever. I've been talking about Toni Morrison this entire summer because I made a book challenge for myself to read all of her novels. So from the first one that she wrote to the last novel that she wrote by before the end of this year passes. So it's now almost October, and I have gotten through I haven't had a lot of time, but I am now halfway through the Song of Solomon. So I think after that is Tar Baby and then Beloved. So Song of Solomon is kind of long. It's kind of one of her longer books. So it's been taking me a minute. And then plus I've been reading books in between. So of course that's taken some time away, but I will get through them. I will finish by the end of this year. I'm manifesting it for myself. So yeah, I'll let you guys know how that goes. But I will be reviewing all of her books as I read them. So we're going to start with the first one, The Bluest Eye. So this story is about a little girl growing up in the, I believe, the 1930s and 40s. And she's growing up in kind of like a small town. And it's just, her name is Pecola. The little girl's name is Pecola. And she has a wish. She has a wish to basically wake up one day and have blue eyes, because she thinks that it will make life better for her. And that, I mean, honestly, she thinks this because she's surrounded in a neighborhood, in an environment, in a world where if you have more like European features, of course, if you have blue eyes, lighter hair, lighter skin, you have a better life. You will be more accepted. You'll be more loved. And if you have the opposite of these things, then your life will be more terrible. And so, and it's like, it makes you think, like, if she wasn't in that environment, if you took her out of that environment, away from these adults and other children that are perpetuating that onto her, they're perpetuating their self-hate onto her, they're perpetuating their insecurities onto her, just their stereotypes, all of that on this one little girl, on Pecola. And if she had just been brought out of that environment, it's like, what, I just wonder, like, at the end of the book, I was like, what would things have been like if she was moved out of that environment? And I felt Pecola is definitely very relatable character, at least for me, because she's just having to listen to so much negativity, like, as a girl, and as a young black girl. It's you hear a lot of people tell you what you're not, and you hardly ever hear like any praises for just who you are. And so she's surrounded by people telling her what she's not, and treating her less than, and it just weighs on her to the point where she kind of breaks. But the point where she breaks in this story, and she's kind of reflecting, having kind of a conversation, I imagined, based on the dialogue, with herself. The conversation she was kind of having with herself. Um, it was actually, I felt like, one of the best parts of the book, because throughout the book, you don't really hear Pecola's thoughts. You're hearing everybody else, tell you about her. So at that part, you kind of hear what she's thinking and how she's feeling about things, and you kind of get an inside peek into her character. And actually, I've noticed reading Miss Morrison's books, that she has characters like that, and I personally like characters where you're not given all the information about them right off the bat. You kind of get peeks into their thoughts, who they are, their life. You kind of have to think for yourself and kind of put pieces of the puzzle together to kind of gauge on who this character is, based on their thoughts, maybe things they've said or done, or what other people have said. And then you have to kind of take what other people say with a grain of salt. Is that person a reliable source on that other character? So I like putting those puzzles together and picking them apart. So I love characters that are written that way. She does that. Miss Morrison does that a lot in her novels. She does the same thing with Sula, which is another character in her second book that she wrote. So two little girls that are kind of her friends, but at the end of the story, you kind of have to re-gauge what that really means. They do help her throughout the story, but even one of the youngest one, she kind of admits, they're sisters. She kind of admits, like, were we really helping Pecola? Did we really help her? Or were we like everybody else in the town, in the neighborhood, just kind of looking at her as like, oh, well, I'm not like Pecola, so that, I'm okay because I'm not that bad, I'm not Pecola. So, she's kind of a girl that's just by herself. Even her parents, I mean, gosh, I think some of the characters that I did not like the most were her parents. And Toni had mentioned in her author's note that she also writes characters where they're not good and they're not bad. And it's kind of, she wants to make it hard for the reader to just say, oh, that character is strictly good, that character is strictly bad. She wants you to kind of look into a character that you would just write off as completely bad, and kind of look at their background and look at, how they got to the point where they got, and it's like, well, I mean, this person was probably an average person, and then they were put in bad situations, bad environments that pushed them off the edge, kind of. But she tried to do that with Pecola's parents, and it was a little hard for me to sympathize with them still, even though you kind of get their backstories and why they treat Pecola the way they do. It was still very hard for me to sympathize. It was still very hard for me to do that. I just feel, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm sensitive about kids, so it was very hard for me to say. I tried. I did. I really did. I don't know. if you've read this book, or if you will read the book in the future, just drop in the comments. Like, let me know. Like, was it hard for you to sympathize with Pecola's parents, or, you know, were you able to sympathize with them? Like, knowing their backstories and stuff. I mean, not every parent is perfect, of course. I'm not a parent. So I know things can be a little difficult, and there's no guidebook on how to raise children. But I just know for a fact some of the things they were doing, it just, or a lot of the things that they were doing, just, it kind of helped push Pecola to the edge the most. Like, they were a main factor in pushing her off the edge. So, you know, that's just, I think Tony, I think maybe in the next book, we'll talk about that one in another video, but in Sula, she does a better job of making a seemingly bad character easy to sympathize with, and you can kind of see both sides of the story, of the argument with that character very easily. And so I mean, it was her first novel, so she tried something, and I guess for me, it wasn't as effective, but it definitely paid off in the next book. So it's the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature, and I think Toni won a few of these. She won one for the Song of Solomon, which is the one I'm currently reading. So, and for Beloved, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check with that one, but I know that one got turned into a movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if that one won as well. But the story all around was good. It was a good story, and it all originated, Toni tells you, the whole story originated on a childhood experience she had with a friend, and the friend told her, you know, I wish I had blue eyes. And and her friend was this young African American girl, and you know, she's just like, I want blue eyes like Shirley Temple, you know, and because I feel like I would be prettier, I would be more looked upon, loved, and you know, just that simple fact to me is just sad that any young girl has to think that way. That if they had some other features, they would be loved more, and it's like, no, what you have is enough. You are enough. You have to go through this thing where it's like, I want to look perfect. I have to look perfect because society says, and it's like, no, forget society. Honestly, I mean, look how you want to look. It's like, everybody has beautiful features about them. It could be your arms, your fingers, your face, your eyes. It could be anything. Your hair, your toes. There's some people that have really nice toes, or just feet, I guess. It all depends, and nobody is like absolutely like 100% like the staple, like this is how everybody should look. No, that's not a realistic world. That's not very human to me, for everybody to look like the same. So there's a reason we all look different, you know. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on The Bluest Eye. I did enjoy the book. I remember kind of reading parts of it a long time ago. Never really reading the whole thing, but I got to read the whole thing and I enjoyed it. I can definitely tell it was Toni's first book. I think I'd be able to tell that without knowing. Just because I've read her other books and I've noticed kind of a difference between like this one and her later books. So I can see the growth, okay? The growth within Miss Morrison. So, but essentially, I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys do if you decide to read it. And I'm gonna call it a night. I hope you have a wonderful night. Sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite.